Continue watching to see how I wrestle with a 60-pound tree stump and level it into a pretty cool solar-powered light for the backyard. This was one of 3 old, what I think are eucalyptus tree stumps I got about 2 or 3 years ago. They've been sitting on the side of my house for a while. And I've had this idea to create an outdoor little mini table, but power it with lights from a little solar panel. So it's completely wireless. I've got some LEDs, a little solar panel with a battery pack, and we'll have some down lighting that'll last about 3 or 4 hours into the night. And that's what we do here.
Alright, little update here. So the carving is going okay, but I'm going to make a little pivot. You can see here that freehanding it with the burr ball wasn't working. It's too dangerous, it broke my handle, I wasn't getting a consistent depth or shape. Then I picked up a router bit and I modified it, and it worked a little bit better. Still was a little bit too wonky, it would kind of go sideways. So I'm actually going to pivot. I'm going to create a jig where I can set it on the stump and get even lines, and I bought another bit that's on the way that's going to make me able to have more consistent lines in here. Give it a shot.
In hindsight, I should have actually just built a jig that encompassed a single pattern, a single oval, oblong, pill-shaped pattern, instead of the jig that I built, which was a single line where I actually have to dig down and do each individual pill 3 times or 4 times or whatever. So if you do this project, just build one jig that's the length of the pattern you want to do, as opposed to an entire line jig here where you're more in control of the length of the pattern, which gives room for error. Here I'm gluing on the 2 different types of patterns I'm going to carve into the wood. So one length would be 3 solid pill shapes, and then next to it would be 2 and then half pill on top and a half pill on bottom. So it's kind of an alternating pattern. And I use that as a visual guide so I knew where to stop and start the router for each individual pattern. Here I'm going to give it its first coat of primer to kind of take off some of the sharp edges. I did sand it, and then now I primed it with white. We're going to do half of the pill shape with orange and the other half with blue, and then finish it off with black everywhere where it's white today. The idea was to have the orange facing down, so at night when the lights were on, the orange would light up and you wouldn't really see the blue, and it did work out that way. It's pretty cool. And then during the day you kind of see the blue more than the orange. My son had a good idea to enhance the paint job of it as well, because when I got done with the paint, it just ended up looking like a pharmaceutical pill, and I didn't really like that. So we actually took some alternating paint and kind of put like a paint flick pattern of orange paint over the blue and then blue paint over the orange, and you'll see the final results in the reveal. This tree stump is definitely not perfectly flat on both the bottom and the top of the stump. If I had a giant lathe, I probably could have put this on a lathe and then make this perfectly flat, make this perfectly flat, and then mounting these feet would be pretty easy. I could just mount 3 of them on the side and I know it would sit flush on the ground. But I don't have a lathe and I really don't want to make this just a perfect cylinder because I really want it to look like a tree stump. So in order to have this thing sit flat on the ground, I need to be able to mount these 3 legs so all the feet are perfectly aligned with each other. That means I'm gonna have to hog out some depth because this is sloped up here on this end. I'll have to hog out some depth here, mount this foot on the back, you know, down maybe an inch. This one's about a ½ inch, and this one's my marker. Oops. So that's what we're gonna do. And I understand that I could have actually just taken a grinder and cut a section off the bottom of the leg as well, as opposed to hogging the wood out, but I felt I didn't want the legs to be completely different in lengths. I'd rather just hog the wood out so I can hide the difference there.
So I picked up a little wall-mounted solar light. We're not going to use these LEDs, but we are going to extract the solar sensor, and then we're going to obviously use the solar panel. The batteries are on this side, so if you do this project, make sure if you get one of these solar lights to take apart and utilize for this project, make sure the batteries are attached to the solar panel, because we're not going to use LEDs at all. We're going to use our own LEDs right here. Wrap them around the edge of this acrylic, which is clear. There's a blue sticker on it now. Sandwich this solar panel between these 2 acrylic plates and have these standoffs separate them so there's some space. And then have these LED rope lighting right on the perimeter, and it's shining down on the edges of the cocktail table.
Here again, I had to countersink those standoffs so the plexiglass would sit perfectly perpendicular to the ground. Here I'm just cutting out the solar and motion sensor, and then there's like a mode switch on there. I left it in the mode where the light just comes on completely once the sun goes down, and it lasts forever, or at least not forever, but about, I think so far I've seen it go for about 3.5 hours.
All right, home stretch on the project. a couple of things left to do. I need to make this edge look finished. So I have some old leftover rubber gym floor mat from the axe cage build video. So I'm gonna cut a section that will cover and lap over this edge and band it like this. I think it'll look good. And then I want to do one more thing, is actually put another piece of rubber right here underneath to hide the fact that I'm going to have LED strip glued underneath here. I don't want you to see the underside of the LED strip that's glued under this plexi. So I'm going to put another piece of rubber right here on the inside so it kind of hides that LED strip. And then get the electronics done, and then we're good to go.
And yes, I know that rope lighting is peel and stick, so you can peel off that blue plastic, and underneath is like a 3M double-sided sticky tape, but that's never lasted in my experience, so I left it on and I just used super glue instead. Ratchet straps for the win. Really appreciate everyone making it to the end of the video. If this was kind of a cool video for you, I'd appreciate a like or maybe even a subscribe. I try to do every video just a little bit better than the last one.